Welcome to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports. Welcome back, everybody, to Audible Sportscast. Brett and Jeff here today. How you doing, Brett?
Good.
Good. We have another week down. We're going into week 5 of the NFL. We had our first London game. We'll talk about it a little bit later. We had a lot of fun games. I feel like I'm probably going to say this every week, but this was probably one of my favorite weeks to watch football. There was a lot of fun games I thought weren't going to be fun, were fun. Saints Lions, if you got to catch that game, it was a lot of fun to watch. While maybe it wasn't fun to watch my Bears lose or me to lose fantasy by 0.6 points. It was just fun to watch games in general. It was a lot of fun games. Good defense, good offense, good special teams, bad offense, bad defense. A bunch of mix to make a fun week. Let's jump right into it with our fantasy of the week. Last week, Brett, your must start was David Njoku. I would say a meh. He had 9.7 points PPR. Tight ends, it's hard for tight ends.
It's not terrible, but it's better than I bet you most people's tight ends on their roster. So,
considering I've been starting Kyle Pitts every week, definitely better. But then your must sit, the entire Bucs offense, other than Mike Evans. I would argue you could have started everyone on the Bucs. I mean, definitely Mike Evans. He had 2 touchdowns and whatnot, but it might not have looked like it, the fact the Bucs lost, but they put up a lot of points. I mean, it was Brady almost turned into a close game. But my fantasy starts for last week were interesting. So I told everyone to start Dameon Pierce. He went off. He should be a must start for the rest of the year. He shouldn't even be someone you say is a starter sit. But I also said to sit Keenan Allen, and he didn't even play. So I don't really count that as a win or a loss. That's just me being kind of stupid and not checking.
Maybe you had insider info we didn't know about.
Maybe. If I do, I'd like to know if I do and use it more for my own help. But what do you got this week?
I think you got to start Jimmy G. I mean, obviously based on whoever, if you don't have one of the top tier quarterbacks, like top couple. I mean, I wouldn't say, because I think I don't know. I think he's on a roll, even if he's playing someone like Carolina or anyone else. But I think then my must sit is I think you got to sit Stafford. The Rams offense is all kind of screwy right now.
I definitely agree. Matthew Stafford is also my for the week. I mean, they're going against a Cowboys defense that has looked pretty good so far. I mean, they kept Brady to minimal points, and the kind of the worry with that Rams offense is that offensive line, and Micah Parsons might end the game with 6 sacks by the end of it.
I mean, I saw a stat today that for the first few weeks of the season, Matt Stafford has targeted Higbee and Cooper Kupp on 65% of his targets.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to figure out a way to get Allen Robinson in, but at the same time, how much is that?
He can't get
open. That's always kind of been his problem, is separation. So that's why he's always kind of leading the league in contested catches, because that's how he has to kind of get that ball. But at the same time,
That's not how Matthew Stafford throws the ball, though. Not really.
I mean, Kenny Golladay, Calvin Johnson back in the day.
No, but it's a difference. I got to throw it up because I only got one guy kind of offense.
Kind of like, screw it, he's down there somewhere type of deal. But, I mean, yeah, you got to figure out a way to get Robinson.
The Rams, I wouldn't say, I think the Rams offensive, because some can say that Whitworth and Von Miller leaving hurt that team so much. On paper, yes. I don't know how Whitworth, a 40-year-old lineman, saves the line that much.
Well, and it's showing.
Yeah, but they'd have these issues too. I mean, it just shows you that right now in football, in the NFL, the offensive line is probably one of the priceless commodities that if you can have a good O-line, then you have a way better odds to win. More, you know what I mean? Like look at Look how many teams are struggling more than ever now.
Exactly. I was about to say, look at the teams that are struggling, and more than likely it's because their offensive line play or a couple other things we'll talk about with some other teams here in a bit. But it's just it's kind of we're kind of in that we're almost in a position where defense is back to winning championships. I mean, they always have, I would argue. I mean, Tampa Bay versus Chiefs, that defense won them that Super Bowl. But I feel like this is going to be another one of those Super Bowls this year. I mean, we see Eagles right now are playing really good defensively. Buffalo Bills can play good defensively. Yes, there are kind of issues there with kind of injuries, but I still think they're going to get some guys back later in the year that'll help them out.
Yeah. But I think another must start that I just thought of, I didn't just think of it, but it just popped back in my head, is I think you have to start Brady this week only because he kind of tends to triumph over adversity in his life, off the field and on.
Oh, he has a lot of adversity this week off the field. I mean, it's kind of a TMZ drama type thing, but yeah, him and his wife have found or whatever divorce lawyers. So, I mean, hey, it seemed like something was going on there. But, hey, we're here to talk sports, not family gossip. So, I do kind of like that matchup, though, against the Falcons. My must-start of the week, someone who has gained a lot of attraction in the Packers offense and going against a secondary I think could be exploited. But Romeo Doubs, however you pronounce it, I'll figure it out. He's a rookie. I got plenty of time to figure it out. I think he's a must-start. He's gaining... he's kind of, other than Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb has his moments.
He's in Aaron Rodgers' favor right now, which means he'll get lots of targets.
Yes. Even on that, for anyone who listens to the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers always comes on, and every single week he has something new good to say about Romeo Doubs. And
it's only because he's not dropping the ball. If that does start to happen, then Rodgers will switch to someone else.
Yeah, well, I don't think everyone kind of talks about how good of a catcher he is of the ball, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting matchup he has this week.
In theory, he's the Packers' number one wide receiver right now.
I mean, Alan Lazard, I would say, is more of the number one, but I think the potential more is there with Doubs.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a gifted quarterback. Whoever he has it thrown to, they're going to get it.
Yep.
So we'll see. But moving on, let's go. We have a lot to talk about. Normally we do save this segment for last, but I think we just got to get this done right away because I want to save some time for us to talk about pretenders and contenders. So this week, Game of the Weeks. We have a lot of fun games to watch this week. But last week I went 2-1. Brett, you also went 2-1. Brings our seasons to 5-4, you 3-6. So my first game of the week this week is Cowboys-Rams. Two teams that I feel like are not trying to figure it out. Rams are definitely trying to figure it out, and they have a lot of issues. But this Cowboys team, if they can pull a win from L.A. with Cooper Rush, I think this is the week maybe they start to question, do they need Dak? Or should they even switch it out? So I actually had the Cowboys winning this. I mean, that defense is really good, and we've seen the Rams' offensive line struggle. I think this could be a game Micah Parsons just tears it. I mean, he's already looking like the defensive player of the year. I think this is a week where he cements that even further. But that's my first game of the week. I also got Bengals versus Ravens. This could be a game we look down the line and say this game kind of not sealed,
maybe,
but swayed the division a little bit. Both of these teams I feel like are doing really good. The Ravens have struggled in some games to finish, but I think this is a game they finish. I think the Ravens get the win here at home against the Bengals, but this is a game where I would maybe even look at the over a little bit. These are two the Bengals kind of had a long week to prepare for this game. Ravens are they need a bounce back game. So I could see this being a very high powered offensive game. And then my last game of the week, I got Steelers Bills. Not necessarily. I want to see how Kenny Pickett does now that Mitch has been benched. I'd like to see how he plays against a really good Buffalo team. I have Buffalo winning at home, but I mean, right now the spread is plus 14. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't see why it's that blowout of a game. We'll see. Steelers have a pretty good defense. I mean, I know the Jets kind of did whatever they want against it, but this could be a good, fun game. A lot more fun than people are kind of saying. But Brett, what do you got for games of the week?
Well, I think you gotta go Eagles, Cardinals. Just those teams are, in a way, on the rise to fighting for the top of the NFC. They're not there yet, but I think they're both there, close.
Hey, and before you finish that, I did say last week that now that the beta is over for Modern Warfare, that the Cardinals are going to win. And look at that, the Cardinals won.
I mean, I think the Eagles win that game. That's me, personally. My other game...
Yeah, I mean, this is...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that this is definitely one of those games where the Eagles are kind of riding high. This could be a game the Cardinals could steal. I'm not going to pick it, but I could see the Cardinals winning this game.
And then we Colts Broncos. I think they're two teams that are struggling to find their identity with their new quarterbacks, but I think it could be entertaining.
I agree. I mean, it's looking like Jonathan Taylor might play in this game, which to get on a short week, no. I mean, it's kind of like the Tua situation. We'll talk about that later. But you don't want to ruin, any long term. Sit at least this week, and you get kind of extra rest. But I mean, this is definitely, both of these offenses have been struggling. Both the defenses seem pretty good. I mean, I know Tennessee kind of had their way in that first half against them, the Colts, but both of these offenses have to figure something out if they want to compete. I mean, we have Danger Russ, who's been not cooking at all, and he's had a shoulder injury now this week. I mean, it seems like nothing major, but something to watch out for. I could see this being a fun game, maybe a low-scoring game, but the low-scoring games, the ones that end up being the high-scoring games.
That kind of, what you said kind of takes me into my next game.
Well, who do you have winning this game?
I have the Broncos winning it. I forgot to say that, but yeah. I mean, I think the Broncos bounce back. But what you were just saying about quarterback play leads me into my... This is now... it's almost embarrassing to say this game, but Seahawks-Saints. And the reason why I pick this game is because both teams are... I don't know. Like here, the Seahawks are on the up and up, and Geno Smith is playing out of his mind. And then you have a team that... hung with the Vikings all week last week, and then blew it at the end.
With a backup quarterback in Andy Dalton,
and
which
no
we
Kamara.
said he should have probably played, and no Kamara, no Michael Thomas either.
And they also cut Latavius Murray, too, so...
Wait, they cut him?
No, I'm sorry. He got put on the practice squad, and then the Broncos signed him. So...
No.
Yeah.
After the game he just had?
Yep.
Okay, I was high on the Saints this year, and that probably ruined it for me. Why would they? They were giving him pretty much every single carry in the second half. There's no way. There's no way they did that. I don't believe it.
Right now, Google it while we're talking.
I am. Oh my gosh!
It makes.
I'm not picking this. I'm not picking this game, but
it makes absolutely no sense. I know
it doesn't. You can argue that his running is the reason they were in that game.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Well, who do you have winning it?
I have the Saints winning it. I think they have a bounce back win, but
okay. No matter who starts at quarterback,
doesn't matter. I actually think Andy Dalton's the better, more with how many good pieces that team has. Jameis Winston's the better arm talent, but he's too risky. Andy Dalton,
I agree.
And Andy Dalton looked really good throwing down the field last week.
He did, and
He's the safer
giving.
bet, in my opinion, out of the two. And they have a good defense. They have a good O-line. I wouldn't. If he wins them a couple games while Jameis is out, I'd keep him starting myself. But.
I agree. I mean, he's struggling obviously with the injury and in general. So it's kind of like with the Cowboys. Keep what's hot going. You don't want to change while things are going good.
Cowboys have bad luck with starting a quarterback who's injured, anyways. So.
I mean, they have bad luck in general. When's the last time they had a playoff win?
Before Romo.
No, Romo had them a win. Romo won them a couple games in the
did he?
playoffs.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's still been a long time.
But then when you look at kind of the luck they had in some of those games they could have won, I mean, look back at the Des Cottick game.
Oh, yeah. He did catch it.
He did. I will go down into my life saying Des caught the ball and Zach Miller caught the ball versus the Saints. Look that one up. Be careful, though, if you're kind of... If leg injuries cause you some nausea, because that's a scary one. But moving on to what I really want to talk about today, let's just go through every single team, and I just want to ask you, Brett, if this team is a pretender, they're not doing anything, they're gonna not make the playoffs, or they're just not really good, or if they're a contender, they are a playoff hopeful, a Super Bowl hopeful. However you think of these two things, I want to hear what you have to say, and of course I will pitch in too. But let's start with the AFC, and more specifically the AFC East. Brett, Miami Dolphins, pretenders or contenders?
I think right now they're a pretender with their quarterback being hurt and all.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, we've seen Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, can this be an old Teddy Bridgewater?
He's never been anybody who's won anything, though.
I mean, they did win in the division back in, 2016?
Once they got to the playoffs, though, I mean, they didn't do anything.
That is true. I mean, they played one of the coldest games ever, and
I'm
Blair
just
Walsh
basing
missed
it
the
off
field
of,
goal.
and he hasn't had any good luck since then in the NFL.
Oh, that's true. I mean, he was on a little bit of a winning streak with the Saints, but that was during a Drew Brees injury. But I agree, right now, kind of injuries seem to be taking a toll on that team already, and now that we're a quarter way in, that's not something you want. I mean, the Bengals were able to move down the field because half of that secondary was hurt between Byron Jones and
I mean, I will say
Howard.
that I'm actually surprised Tyreek Hill keeps it up with whoever's a quarterback. I expected his numbers to drop off.
It's Tyreek Hill. I mean, a lot of people,
I just assumed
feel
that
like
Mahomes, not that I'm not giving him credit, I just assumed Mahomes was part of the reason he was getting. But no, he's proven that he can do it.
I don't think he
without.
gets enough credit. I think he is a top 3 receiver. And not just because he's fast. He can catch.
No, he goes for that 5-yard catch and then takes it.
That man can do anything. And I think now that we're seeing him out of kind of the Mahomes situation, we're seeing people are giving him a little bit more credit than they were previously. And I love that. But, yeah, I mean, I think his numbers won't go down at all. I mean, we might see QB play go down a little bit. Obviously, Tua looked like he was showing out before the injuries, and who knows what he'll be like when he comes back. A lot of people say maybe he shouldn't even play again. I kind of think maybe he shouldn't.
I think he will, given all the controversy to start his career. So I don't know.
I mean, we're definitely going to see a lot of people. He's going to have to go through a lot to be able to play again, whether that's, coaches, I mean, to put someone out there. I mean, it's football. People are going to get hurt, but I feel like with the way brain injuries have been kind of on the focus the last, 10-ish years.
He'll probably be 5. Out 2 weeks. That's it. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's already out this week, obviously, but we'll see. I mean, I wish him the best. I'm hoping he does good. I want the lefty quarterback, doesn't make in the NFL proven wrong, and I'm hoping he makes it back, and the Dolphins turn into contenders when he's back. But there's too many question marks to call them a contender right now. But Buffalo Bills, easy contenders.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
even with kind of injuries they've had in the secondary, they're.
I base it off their division, but I also base it off the rest of the AFC play, so I'll say yes.
Definitely. I mean, if they're still trying to, Devin Singletary has been looking pretty good so far, or decently good. I think them keeping a running game going just makes them amazing, and they're easy contenders still, even with some little that bounce back against the Ravens. I think that kind of seals it for me, especially. But Jets, Zach Wilson beat the Steelers. Pretender. Are they pretenders? Yeah, they're pretenders for now. I think they're going to be a frisky team, I feel like, this year, being probably staying in close-ish games, but I still want to see a little bit more out of Zach Wilson before I can call them anything more than a contender. And then the Patriots with their third-string quarterback.
They are definitely pretenders right now.
I agree. I mean, Zappe put up a pretty good game against the Packers, but I don't know. I mean,
they're past him now.
Yeah.
So,
but
it could be Blake
I gotta go
starting, and who knows?
If Blake Bortles comes and starts for the New England Patriots,
he's on their radar to work out. I know that.
Gosh, I just keep Zappe in there. Let the young guy get some experience while Mac Jones rests up.
Well,
I mean, bringing in the late draft, on whatever, I forget if he was drafted or not, but no, because they signed him out the practice squad. Oh no, they drafted him, yes, but bringing in, hey, they've had good experience bringing in a late round draft pick to start Tom Brady. So hey, Bill Belichick's going to be coaching for another 20 years with Bill Zappe. But hey, moving to the AFC North, Cleveland Browns.
Pretender.
Yeah, I don't want to say right now with Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to say they're pretenders. Who knows what will happen with Deshaun Watson?
They're the Browns.
They're the Browns. I agree. Moving to the Baltimore Ravens.
I mean, I think you have to consider them a contender. I don't think they're playing that great, but
I mean, Lamar Jackson is putting up MVP numbers in a contract year. He's hungry for that new contract. Yep. I think that alone makes them contenders. Mark Andrews, I mean, there's still question marks, kind of Duvernay and Rashad Bateman at times, but I think they're going to be fine. That defense is going to be fine. I think they're easily contenders. Cincinnati Bengals.
Pretenders.
I have them as contenders. I think, yes, there is question marks on that offensive line, but as we saw against the Dolphins, that they can still show up. And it's all going to come down to how well they can run it with Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
And I think they just need to get him going, and he will get going. So I'm gonna call them contenders. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pretenders.
I agree. I mean, we got to see more out of Kenny Pickett. He threw 3 interceptions. Whether Pro Football Focus.
No matter what you say right now, I don't think they have enough talent on that team to be considered a contender, even if they had a top-tier quarterback.
I agree. I mean, if T.J. Watt was healthy right now,
I think, but I mean, if you look at the secondary and you look at what's around T.J. Watt, you look at what's on the offense, the
offensive line definitely seems like
I feel like this is one of the worst Steelers teams we've seen in, 10 years.
Is this going to be the first year that Mike Tomlin has never had at least a 500 season?
I think so.
I mean, I agree. They're on a 1-3 start. Just lost the Jets, so it wouldn't surprise me. But moving to the AFC South, probably the most trickiest division that we'll have. Start with the current division winner, or leading division winner, Jacksonville Jaguars.
I gotta say they're pretenders still. I'm not sold yet.
I'm not either. I kind of want to see how they're going to play against the Titans. But can I call everyone in this division a pretender?
Right now they all are. I agree.
I mean, the Titans right now would be the only team I think are contenders, just because if Henry is Henry, he's gonna still get it. But I kind of want to call everyone in this division a pretender right now. I know last week we said maybe we spoke too early, but it's
only time will tell.
Only time will tell. I kind of want to see more out of Jacksonville. They had a good game. I wouldn't call it a good game against Eagles, but it was a close game. Eagles bounced back, but too many turnovers late in the game. They kind of lost it for them. So I'm just going to call everyone in that division pretenders. Let's move on to the AFC West. Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, contender. That's easy.
Contenders, probably my number one pick to win the Super Bowl right now. Easy. Chargers.
I'd still say they're a contender as well.
I'm going to call them pretenders right now. They're still super inconsistent. Obviously, the injuries are already stacking up. I don't know. I want to see some consistency, whether that's in playing or non-injuries. I just want to see something. And it worries me to say that because I think that team is super talented. But Broncos.
Pretenders.
Definitely they are. Broncos country is not going to be riding whatsoever until they figure out that offense. And with Javonte Williams going down to a torn ACL, it's not looking promising. And then ending it with the Raiders for the AFC.
No, I think they're a pretender too.
I agree. They can't figure it out. And Mike McDaniels is kind of showing why he should never have left New England, kind of.
Yep.
Moving to the NFC, starting with what used to be always called the NFC least, right now I believe is the most winningest division currently. We have the NFC East, and let's start with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think they're a contender.
I agree. Miles Sanders had a really great game last week. If they can continue to implement him and have a really good run game to pair with the receiving core they have, plus a really good defense, easy contenders.
Yep.
Cowboys.
Pretenders.
With that defense, I think they can contend for at least a divisional type situation. We'll see how they play with Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, can he keep it up? That's the key here. So I'm going to say
that's
pretender
true.
Until he proves it, he's a pretender.
I mean, I think he's proving it right now, so I'm going to go with a contender. But we have the New York Giants. A team everyone expected to be 3-1 at this point.
They're pretenders, but I have to say Daniel Jones has surprised me so far.
I mean, I agree. He's not putting up amazing numbers.
I never expected Saquon to have a good year again. Not like this.
I was hoping he would have a bounce back year, and when you look at it, he is in a contract year, so it kind of makes sense. But him staying healthy is amazing. Him being healthy, playing great, is good for the NFL, and I love it. But they're unfortunately pretenders right now, even with a winning record like that. And then leaving it with the Washington Commanders.
Pretend.
Just like Carson.
I don't even think it's worth even talking about with them anymore.
Carson Wentz sucks. That's all I got to say. But moving to the NFC North, Minnesota Vikings.
Contenders.
I'm going to call them pretenders. It's Kirk Cousins still at quarterback. I can't see this team doing much. Yeah, they might make it to the playoffs, but that's not saying much. For them to have a successful, I think, season, they have to contend in the playoffs, not just make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
Packers.
I think they're pretenders, and my reasoning is I think the Vikings have a better team. And two, they play the Patriots with their third-string quarterback, and they only win by a field goal. And that's kind of that's the story of their season.
Hey, any given Sunday.
No, don't get me wrong. The Packers tend to have very good luck with Cinderella story seasons, so maybe not. But they're a pretender right now. I don't have them to even win the division right now.
I think they still will. The defense kind of worries me. It's so off and on. Like, week prior they had a really great game against Tampa. Tampa was pretty banged up that game,
yep.
But it's just that there's so many question marks on that defense right now. I'm gonna call them contenders for now, just because it's Aaron Rodgers. But I need to see something.
Yep.
because if I don't see much against the Giants, they're definitely looking like a pretender.
No, here, I hate to say this, but the last two teams are pretenders. I don't think
Yeah,
either of us will
easily. I mean,
disagree.
even with
Now,
the Lions.
The Lions are very entertaining because they're scoring a lot of points, though.
But they're also giving up a lot of points. So, and like I said earlier, defenses win championships. So, pretenders. Let's move to NFC South. Tampa Bay. This is a tough one.
Pains me to say it, but I think they're pretenders right now.
I'm going to go with the contender, kind of opposite of what Minnesota. They just got to make the playoffs. I think with that division, they're easily going to make the playoffs, and all you need them to do with Tom Brady is make the playoffs. And
I'm just worried that this stuff in his life he's done really well with it, but I think with every other thing he's gone through this year, I don't know.
Or
they might be a playoff team, but I would hate to see how Brady goes out, but sorry to cut you off again.
No, you're good. But with this all finally coming out, I'm assuming it's been in the works since he unretired. I mean, does this light a fire under him?
I think it makes him play till he's 50.
If he plays till he's 50, Jesus. His career is already longer than I'm alive.
I can see it now that he has no family tying him to anything.
He's still got his kids. I mean, his son.
He's got the.
Is he going to be like? Is he going to be like LeBron and want to play with his kid?
No, that's pushing it now.
Yeah, probably. But okay, I mean, it's kind of like some of these other divisions. The rest of this is kind of contenders.
Pretenders, I think. Yeah.
Pretenders, not contenders. I've probably mixed saying them up several times, and I apologize, but I'm sure everyone understands what I mean. Falcons kind of show up sometimes, but...
Yeah. I mean, Cordell Patterson's having a record season for him. And
he is kind of banged up right now, but...
And he's old. And compared to... For a running back, he's old.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of amazing that, like, New England couldn't use him like this. Matt Nagy couldn't figure out how to use him like this.
Nobody ever wanted to keep him as number one running back. That's why.
The Bears tried using him a little bit as a running back, but I always said they need to give him more touches.
Terrible too.
I mean,
I don't know.
Him and David Montgomery could have been pretty good.
It's hard to say with that offense.
True, and I'm not a big fan of that defense. So rest of the division pretenders, and it's going to be interesting to see when Matt Rule gets fired and when the Saints go marching into the abyss of rebuild. But last division, saving the most interesting for last, I would say, 49ers.
I mean, I was very down on them last week. I'm going to say they're a contender right now.
I agree. I mean, we saw that their weapons and that defense are amazing. All Jimmy G has to do is get it to him.
He just has to be a game manager. That's it.
That's all it is. Rams.
Pretenders right now.
I agree until they figure out that offensive line issue.
If you double team Cooper Kupp, they're in trouble on offense. And if you can get
that's the thing. Can you double team Cooper Kupp?
Well, that's not even double team Cooper Kupp. If you can just
get pressure. Yes.
Yep. Stafford's screwed, and he'll throw the ball away.
I agree. Or people forget he led the league in interceptions last year, but because of how high powered that offense was defense was playing lights out.
But yeah,
people forgot.
Yep.
And now that there is a lot of issues, it's all going to come to light. We got the Arizona Cardinals.
Pretender.
I'm going to have to agree.
Not sold yet.
I'm not sold. I'm probably more sold on the Cardinals right now than the Rams, just because they're getting firepower later in the season with DeAndre Hopkins, but who knows how he will be.
Yeah, he
could.
I mean, odds are he's going to go back to his old self, I would guess.
More than likely.
But,
we'll see.
Then you go into the Seahawks, and, hey, Geno Smith is pressing me, and so is Penny. But
I got to call them pretenders.
No, they're still pretenders. I agree. I just think they've got some pleasant surprises on offense that no one would have ever guessed.
Yes, I agree. Their 2 wins against the Lions and Broncos were good, but the way they lost to the Falcons and 49ers, just they're pretenders.
Yep.
But that's who. I mean, we'll do this when the season
We
is
should do
at
it like
half.
every weeks.
Quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, every quarter. We're at the quarter right now. So halfway through the season, we'll do it again. See how right we were, how wrong we were, or just hey, a lot can change. I say it every time, any given Sunday. But real quick before we go, we have 3 bets. I feel like are pretty good. Right now, you can get the Steelers at plus 14. I feel like that's a lot of points, and that's just that's a lot of points, and I would definitely take the risk on that, even with rookie quarterback starting. The over in the Giants-Packers game at 41.5, last I checked, is very enticing. I mean, Saquon against that defense could light up, and the Packers' offense against that Giants defense. Obviously, that's going to be the London game this week.
It's a little scary.
How much is that going to?
Because both teams have scored some points, but they have also had some weeks where they didn't score a lot.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Graham Gano, he kind of screwed me out on a fantasy win for that missed kick, but let's see if he'll show up and have a really great game this week. But hey, it's London. Who knows what happens in London? First time Packers are ever in London, so that's kind of cool. But then a parlay to maybe look at. Bears Vikings game. Justin Jefferson over yards, whatever it is. Dalvin Cook over yards, whatever it is. And maybe dabble a little bit of, depending on if David Montgomery plays, some Khalil Herbert rushing, maybe him to get 50 yards. I feel like that's a pretty safe parlay.
That
because
seems pretty safe, but
who knows? Say it every time. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. Let's have a fun week 5. If anyone has any fantasy advice, betting advice, just what to watch, what to listen to, who to do, whatever, just hey, hit us up. Our social medias are always linked below. Make sure to also like, comment, subscribe, and whatever you do, whatever you watch this on, just give us a thumbs up, a feedback, whatever it is, do it, please. I beg you. But that's all we got for you this week. Just hey, make sure to hug a loved one and have a good weekend, everyone.
Later.
Thanks for listening to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports.